Sure shot, baby!
So, good evening, everyone. We're here for the fourth episode of the DVD show. So, for tonight, we have the new rookie sensation of the Meralco Bolts, Aaron Black. So, he used to also play for the Ateneo Blue Eagles, and he was also playing for the AMA team in the PBA D League, where he was racking up triple doubles, and he also got an opportunity to play in the Maharlika Pilipinas League and with the Mighty Sports team before making the Meralco Bolts in the PBA. So first off, how are you doing in this off season? How are you spending this time in this off season, especially after receiving your award? But of course, I'd want to congratulate you first on receiving that award.
Thank you. Just been working still. Actually, the day I got the award, I worked out before and after the ceremony. So it's business as usual. Of course, I'm very thankful to get the award. I feel very blessed, but at the same time, I understand that there's a lot of work to do. You only get the Rookie of the Year award once, which is why it meant a lot to me. But at the same time, I know I want more things, more awards, mostly team awards. I want more championships moving forward.
So I think this award is kind of special. I heard Carlo Pamintuan say in his podcast that you can compete again for the Rookie of the Year now because now they use the name. It's like I don't know the name, but it's not really like Rookie of the Year.
Yeah,
It's like it's one
outstanding.
conference lang. So what are your thoughts about the new format for this unprecedented conference? I guess.
I don't know. I think Carlo told me that it's not sure yet. I
Ah,
think they're
okay.
still getting the board to approve it or if they're gonna do it or not. But I'm just thankful. We might only have one bubble conference in our lifetime, so
Yeah.
I'm thankful that I was able to garner that award.
So now we have like a ton of free time, I guess, since April is the next conference and the drafts in like March. What have you been doing outside of basketball?
Really just spending time with my family, spending time with my closest friends, my girlfriend, the guys I grew up with, my closest friends, they live, like a minute away from my house. So
Okay.
if we're
Yeah.
not if we're not working out, if we're not playing basketball, we're usually at home playing cards or things like that. Aside from that, I'm a big sneakerhead, so I'm always on the lookout for shoes. Been collecting shoes. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Netflix and some PlayStation every now and then. So
Yeah, that's good to hear, especially like people. I mean, it's kind of tough if you just focus on basketball. You gotta have some side stuff to relax and also, spend time with like people that are special to you. So, me personally, I'd want to learn more about how you grew up. I know you grew up here in the Philippines. So, when you were growing up, was basketball your first love, or like did you have other activities when you were a, a toddler or a child, or was it really basketball because your dad's really a future former import and then he became a coach?
yeah, basketball was definitely a big part of my life, even early on. I also played football though, soccer at the same time, around grade 1 and 2 when I was. A lot of people don't know this, but I went to Xavier for 2 years before I went to Ateneo in grade 3. So I used to play a lot of football there. I remember my ninang even gave me a football plus like gloves and things like that.
Yeah.
So I played football for a while, but really it was basketball over anything. Especially when I moved to Ateneo, I was able to try out for some of the teams there. I was able to play right away. So that really sparked my love for basketball, I guess.
Why did you stop football, or wala lang, you just wanted to just do basketball?
I feel like it was just it's just a leisure thing for me. A lot of my classmates played football aside from basketball. So whenever you weren't
Oh,
playing
okay.
basketball, I'd play football. But once I got to Ateneo, it was really dominated by basketball. You didn't really see a lot of people on the football field during lunchtime. So yeah, I fell in love with basketball even more.
Yeah. So I think you went to Ateneo grade 3, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So when you were in Ateneo, were you instantly a varsity player until like your high school, college days already like tuloy-tuloy na?
Yeah, in grade 3, I forgot what team I played for in grade 3, but I wasn't eligible to play it for SPP because I was grade 4. So grade 4, I played SPP till grade 6, and then after that I played Paya.
Yeah.
Then I played my ball in first year.
Yeah.
And then second year I played UAP all the way to fourth year. I just took 1 year off. First year college, I didn't play. I only played for Gilas, for Batang Gilas, because I was cut from the Ateneo team my first year.
So from all those stints, like people don't really know much about the grade school and high school days of certain players because it's not televised or people don't write much stuff about it. So from your perspective, what was like the best moment of that whole stint that you had from grade school and high school? And along with the best moment that you will share, what's like a major lesson that you got from any of your coaches or teammates or even opponents that you could share?
Well, in grade school, probably the best moments were winning We won championships every year. With Mike, Matt Nieto,
Yeah.
30, all those guys, Joel Mendoza. We've been together for so long, and we won championships. We went to I think we went to the, the Philippine championship. So after SPP, you go to the nationals, and
Yeah.
we won over there as well. When I got to high school, we didn't win. I just went to the finals once in my last year, but there were a lot of good moments still. I remember we played NU in the finals, and they were tries to beat, and we gave them a run for their money. We came up short, but we still gave them a run for their money. And my best moment there probably would be having um, almost the whole San Juan gym filled with Ateneo high school students, like cheering us on. And I
Yeah.
had my career high game that in game one of that final, so it was pretty crazy for me. In terms of the lessons I learned, I think from my coaches, I remember when I was in second and third year, I wasn't the hardest worker. Um, growing up with your dad being your dad, sometimes you think you can be handed things, and that's something that I didn't really realize I couldn't get till around late third year, fourth year, because I tore my ACL. And when I tore my ACL, that taught me a lot of things about life, basically about basketball. It's not promised, and you have to work hard for it. So yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. My coaches tried to drive that to me, and finally, my late third year to fourth year, I was able to understand that.
So how important also was your dad in your development? So because you said like in your first few years you weren't really the best you weren't the most masipag or the hardest working person on the team. So was your dad always pushing you? Because I really observe like in games, even with his other players, he really pushes them because he knows they have something to prove and they have the skill set. So I'm pretty sure he's also like that with you. So as like you were like a teenager at that time. So how was he in terms of the guidance he'd give and the advice that he'd give when you were overcoming those struggles as a teenager?
Well, my dad never forced me to play basketball. He said, if you want to play, it's up to you. If you don't want to play, then be a good student. But really, when I started to fall in love with the game, he just said, if you are going to play this game, you better not do it half-assed, basically.
Mm.
And that's when a lot of friction came in my second year. Sometimes I wouldn't want to do extra work. I wouldn't want to lift weights. I was a skinny kid when I was in high school. Uh, my whole high school, I was a skinny kid. And
Yeah,
I would fight him about
yeah,
lifting weights, about doing push-ups and things like that, because
yeah,
I want to be on a PlayStation or do
yeah,
this
yeah,
and that. I just want to go out and play five on
yeah,
five. I don't want to do extra work. So he taught me a lot of things. Really, he didn't force me, but at the same time, he really pushed me to be the best I could be. And just like I said, that ACL. After that ACL, that's when everything started to turn around for me. I started to understand what he was really saying.
yeah. Can you talk about a bit? I saw this long. I didn't know this info before, but like, can you talk about how your dad also tutored you academically? Like, it sounds so cool because I saw an article. I don't know from where. I just searched it a few minutes ago that he helped you also with academics for a while.
Yeah. Well, as you can infer, if I was lazy about playing ball, I was also a little bit lazy studying
Yeah,
years in high school. So, he would really tutor me. He'd make sure I do my homework. My mom would too. They would split basically. My mom
mm,
would take Filipino and AP and things like that, and my dad would take math, science, and language. So yeah, he tutored me. We would tutor before practice. Sometimes I get out of class. We tutor in the car, or he was still coaching at Ateneo, so we tutor upstairs. But when I got to college, that was done. That was done with
yeah, yeah,
after I took care of my own studies. But yeah,
yeah.
I'm definitely thankful for both my parents for helping me out at that time.
Yeah. So I also want to ask, since you keep mentioning like how you have a strong support system, maybe that's why you had a good you grew up as like a fine young man. So how important is having a good support system in the development of a person, I guess, like or an athlete? What perspective, in which perspective you'd want to take? How important is the support system in their guidance and their way of like building you up the person that they want you to be when you were like a baby?
Well, I tweeted this actually the other day. I said that when you're down, you try to surround yourself with the right people, and they'll get you back up on your feet. And really, my family, my just like I said, the people I grew up with, my closest friends, can mention them: Ken, Ram, R, Zags, Diego. These guys I grew up with, as well as my girlfriend, who's been so supportive the last 4 years. It's really it's a big thing because I went through a point in my life where my last year in Ateneo, I wasn't playing. I was sitting on the bench, and that was new for me because I had never sat on the bench before in my life. And when you sit on the bench as a senior, you don't really know what's going to happen next because when you go into the draft, you have no draft stock. And I didn't really know what was going to happen, but really the people around me helped me a lot. I went through some dark times during those days, but they lifted me up. They tried to push me, especially my close friends. We would work out almost every day after that when I left Ateneo. So they'd be there with me 11 p.m., 10 a.m. It didn't matter. They'd be there working out with me. So it's definitely a big thing.
Yeah, I really like that because some athletes, I don't know, like if you've heard of Kevin Porter Jr., like his recent stuff that happened with
Yeah,
him, I feel like it's because the support systems, I don't know, that strong. So no one's really guiding him. That's why he has so many off the court issues. So that's why that question popped into my head. That's why I wanted to ask.
yeah. Well, your
Yeah,
parents are a big deal too. I mean,
yeah,
if your parents set you straight, just like my parents did and still do, then that's a big thing because you have people to follow. You have your role models to follow. So, yeah, I think that might be what's lacking with him. Hopefully, because I collect some of his cards. Hopefully,
you're into
he gets.
NBA cards.
Yeah, I'm with the NBA cards also. So hopefully, he gets out of his funk so I can.
Who's your favorite player to collect? Like I have friends at like PJ Washington. I have friends at like SGA, Jamorant, Luca.
Right now, funny thing, I got on the Keldon Johnson train
Ah,
early.
yeah, yeah. Some of my
I got
friends
it
also.
early. I was
Yeah.
able to get a lot of his cards early. Rui and RJB, I collect a lot of
Mhm.
his cards. Garland, Darius Garland,
Yeah, yeah,
Cam J,
yeah,
and then I have a couple of SGAs and a couple of other rookie cards.
yeah. Because me, I don't really collect anymore. Like when I was a kid, my ninangs and ninongs would just give me cards, and I don't know. I have a rookie KD card, and then my friends were like, "Oh, you should sell that because it
Good,
costs a
that's
lot now."
expensive. No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Like I don't know. I have so many. Some are like $1 only, but I have a feeling some of them really cost something. So I should check it out sometime. It's just there. Yeah.
you should. You should. It's a big market now, especially here in the Philippines. Everybody's on it. So.
Yeah. So going back to your Ateneo days, I'd want to talk about like how you were recruited into the college program because Coach Bo was the head coach when you first came in. So how was the recruitment like? I heard UP tried to recruit you also. So what really made you choose Ateneo more? The familiarity or comfortability already with the school?
Well, UP recruited me. UST recruited me as well. But the problem with UST was it was a time where Coach Pido was leaving.
Okay.
So that was off the table already for me because if the coach that's recruiting you is not there anymore, then it
Yeah.
might be a
Yeah.
little bit weird, right, with the new
Yeah.
coach coming in.
Yeah.
So that was off the table right away. Even though I did want to study architecture,
Okay.
so that would have been. But with UP, at that time they just weren't winning. I didn't think like it would be a great place to go because now everybody wants to go to UP
Exactly.
because
Yeah.
the support of the school is crazy. And but I had to choose Ateneo because I love Ateneo and I went there all my life. My dad was won 5 championships there, so I chose Ateneo. But at the same time, because I tore my ACL my third year and I had come back my fourth year a little bit, like I'd come back to full strength a little bit late into the or mid season. I wasn't highly recruited by Ateneo. Like they offered me a scholarship, but it wasn't like a lot of the guys now who really are so highly recruited that they asked for certain packages and things like that. It wasn't like that when it came to Ateneo. That's why my first year I actually didn't play for the team.
Yeah. Season 77, I think I read an article that they didn't include you in the lineup, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that was last minute. Yeah, a couple weeks just before the season.
yeah. I saw the article like now lang. So I want to know more about that ACL injury because my friends they've also encountered and they have like unique stories on how it helped them grow as a person. And then also my dad when we talk, they're like yung 80s or 90s there were no like
Yeah.
these injuries like meniscus,
Yeah.
ACL, MCL, and stuff. So it's really a new thing this generation. So you personally, what self reflection did you learn, or like how did you grow as a person through that ACL injury? Just before we go to your Ateneo college days.
Well, I appreciate a lot of things a lot more. Number one was my studies. I realized that basketball wasn't promised. You could end your career tomorrow. But if you study well, if you get an education, you get a degree, then you have something to fall back on. Aside from that, when it came to basketball, I understood that just like I said, it's not promised. So you might as well work as hard as you can right now. Um, so that's really what I tried to put in as I got older from then, because when you tear your ACL, it's tough. That's took me about 6 months to get back.
Yeah.
Now it's longer. It's longer for people now, but really those 6 months, and then you add another 2 months to get back into full shape. It's a long time, and it taught me a lot of things, and I'm thankful for it. Honestly, if that didn't happen to me, I feel like I wouldn't be the person I am today.
Yeah, that's a good point to hear. So now moving into the Ateneo days, your Ateneo stint, it was pretty, I don't know, strange, I guess, because the first few years you were playing a lot. It's like last 2 years you got lesser minutes. Maybe because of the new system or the batch of players that were coming in. But for the first 2 years, you were like the sixth man, I believe, of the team with Kiefer and Vaughn and Coach Bo. And Coach Bo is like a player's coach and he gives freedom. Like with UP, that's why Kobe, Paras, and Richie and Juan they're having fun because they get the
Yeah,
freedom that they have.
yeah.
So, from your experience, what, how was the first 2 years playing for Ateneo? Especially you were not really expected, but you produced right away, and there were like big gaps that you needed to fill.
Well, the first year was a little bit weird. Actually, only played 1 year for Coach Bo. The second year was with the first year of Coach Tab, but that was sort of like a
Okay.
transition year for us.
Transition. Yeah.
Um, but the first year with Coach Bo was, it was it was weird because I had been cut the year before, and then we came into the season. I made the team, and then the first game I was benched. I didn't play.
Yeah.
So the second game, Coach Bo comes to me in the dugout. You're gonna play, and you're gonna come off the bench right away. So I'm so nervous before the game. Thankfully, I got first game. I was best player my first game, and that sort of set the tone for the rest of the season. I was able to establish myself, get in the rotation, and then become that six man, as you said. So thankfully that worked out. And then the second year, with Coach Tab, the first year of Coach Tab, um, it was good. I mean, that was probably my best year in the UAP. I
Yeah.
think I ended up in the top 15
Statistical
in
points.
MVP voting or something
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, we lost in the finals. I missed a shot in game one that I will forever, it will be in my mind forever.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we learned a lot from that year. We weren't expected to even make the final four, and we did. And and, the team was shocked because a lot of the guys that were there the year before, it was a totally different system. Just like you said, Coach Bo's a player's coach. Coach Tab is more structured. He wants things done in a certain way. Doesn't the freedom is not as much as what Coach Bo gives. So it was kind of a shock, but at the same time, it worked. We were able to go to the finals. We just lost in that last to LaSalle.
Yeah. Do you think it helped that you were, I don't know, not really helped, but like you were cut in the first year, so people kind of forgot about you from the high school days. And then entering the first year, maybe like you weren't part of the scouting report, you weren't part of the game plan of the opponent. So you were able to capitalize and rack up all these points. Do you think that it helped that you surprised them, I guess, with your skill? Like they forgot, oh, this guy is actually talented.
Well, that year that I got cut is one of the years that I really worked my hardest. If I were to pick 3 years where I worked my hardest, it would have been this past year, that those 2 years, sorry, this past year and that year would be the hardest I've ever worked in my life. Of course, you want to get back on the team. So yeah, I worked on a lot of things. Thankfully, yeah, it came out. I kind of surprised people. You're right. I think I even surprised some of my coaches, maybe Coach Bo, because I wasn't really in the rotation to start the year. But thankfully, after I played well for a couple of games, he believed in me and he ended up using me for the rest of the season. So yeah, maybe it was a factor.
Yeah. So how was your mindset in the finals? Because you talked about you touched on how you lost to LaSalle in the finals in your second year. Was that also the game two, I believe, where you scored 20 something, or
Uh,
or was that the next year already?
that was the year after.
Ah,
Yeah, that was
okay,
the
okay.
year after. I think I had 15 that game, but yeah, that was the year after.
20. Oh yeah,
Uh,
that was yeah, okay.
the the my first year with Coach Stab, my career high was 23. I think that was the first game of the season
Oh,
against
okay.
UST.
Okay, okay.
But yeah, I think it was the first championship. There you go. Our first
Okay,
champ.
yeah.
That was the
Yeah.
series where I had a good
Yeah.
game. Yeah.
So with the star-studded lineup of LaSalle, I asked also Karakut last time I had him on. I had him in the previous episode. How their preparation was for the finals, because I think even they were more talented because they had Ben and you didn't have
Definitely.
Angie at that time. 30 wasn't the best. Matt wasn't the best. So what was your mindset going into that finals? Because you got swept. Jeron was still in DLSU that time. How was the experience, and do you think that really helped you, and you haven't lost, I think, ever since
Yeah.
that loss
That
in the finals?
series. Yeah.
Yeah.
We came into that series with nothing to lose. Honestly, we were just ready to go.
Yeah.
If we had won and we would win, nobody expected us to be there. It was kind of like the Miami OKC finals,
Yeah,
where
2012. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
OKC coming in with nothing to lose. They're all young. We're all young at the time. We're all in their second year. We only had, I think, one or two graduating seniors. So it helped us a lot the year after, just to have that finals experience, understanding that environment, understanding what it entailed for you to be able to get the win. And the year after, they pushed us to game three, and thankfully we were able to get through that.
Yeah. For that next season, the one where that DLSU still had Ben, Richie, Aljun, and all these star-studded individuals. But what do you think was the differentiating factor? I mean, later I'll ask you about the game two outing where you guys lost. But like as the whole in that whole season, what was the differentiating factor that you didn't do in the previous season that you did in this season? Because you mentioned that it was more of the same lineup. You only had, I think, G Boy, Babylonia, and I don't know who else was the other senior from the previous defeat.
I think it's just experience. When you guys go through a whole season together, go to the finals, lose, understand how much that hurts, then you take that into the next season. Not even just the season itself, the off season before that. You guys work hard together. You guys push each other, and we did. We did that whole off season. When we got to the season, it was just we knew we were a good team, and when I think we beat LaSalle in the first game of that. Yeah, the
We
first
won
round.
in the second round. I think LaSalle was undefeated the whole elimination round, and then the last game they lost, so they were only 13-1, I think.
That was the year they won.
Oh, okay, okay,
The year we won, it was the opposite. They beat us in the last. I
okay.
think they beat us in the last game. So, yeah, we knew we were a good team, and when we beat them in the first round, it was like, okay, we can do this. We can get this chip. And when we got to the finals, we were really just confident because we knew we've been there before.
Yeah. So with that game two loss, I think you guys were up, and then the mayhem happened, and then they caught up and
Yeah,
won. And you
yeah.
tried to spearhead the comeback. It just failed towards the end. But with that game, did Coach Tab tell you anything, or did he have a specific place for you, and why you suddenly came out of nowhere, and then at the biggest stage you excelled more than 30, more than Ike, more than Anton Asisio and Nieto and all these bigger names?
Well, I think the first game I actually had a pretty good game. I think I had 7 points in the first half, but I didn't
Yeah,
I didn't play in the second half
yeah.
after that. And I just thought to myself in the second game, if I'm put in the same situation, I just have to make the most out of it. Coach Stab didn't really talk to me or say anything about. Actually, sat out that whole third quarter of that game in the second game,
Yeah, I don't
and then
remember.
I came in the
Yeah.
fourth quarter, and I was able to make a couple shots to start with, and it got my confidence going. So yeah, it was more of just I guess a spur of the moment thing that he decided to play me after sitting me the whole third quarter.
Yeah. So following the championship, I guess, it was like your first with this batch of Ateneans, with this generation with Coach Tab. For you moving into your fourth year, what was the mindset going in? Like what kept you guys motivated to continue winning? Especially that, when you're on top, sometimes they say the hardest championship is the next one because when you win, the target's not on your back yet. But for this one, the target's already on your back, and everyone knows that Ange is really good, 30 is really good, and Coach Tab, arguably the best coach in the UAAP. So how was that feeling entering your fourth playing year?
It was really just, we understood that we were done with one job, but there's another job to be done. We were all older now. We were all in our senior year, so we're all mature now. We understand that we don't want to lose after beating LaSalle. We don't want to lose the following year, and people will say it's just a fluke. So we wanted to come in and assert our dominance right away. And I think we lost the first game of that season. We lost to Adamson, so
Yeah, I remember.
like sort of a wake up
Yeah,
call because we
yeah,
had been beating everybody in the off season.
yeah.
Um, Once we had lost to Adamson in the first game, I think it was really the players who came together and picked each other up and sort of said, "Okay, this can't happen again." And from then on, we were able to win the championship moving forward.
For you and your perspective, because you already were under Coach Tab. What makes him so special? What makes him unique? Because I don't know. This is also I heard this in Mikey Reyes. I think you guessed it there also with Adrian Wong. He kind of said that Coach Tab, parang he tells 30 to like chill first in the elimination round, and when it's the finals, he unleashes him 40 points, 30 points. But then as a team, what's special about him? Is he a really good communicator? Is he a really good system coach? What is special about him?
Well, he has a way of getting you to work really hard, whether you like it or not. So whether you want to work hard or not, he'll make sure you work hard. We have crazy off seasons. Him and our trainer, Coach Andre, they
Yeah.
really kill us during the off season. Sometimes we be in the gym at 5 o'clock. We won't be out till about 9:30 at night. So the way we work as a team to prepare for the season was really a big thing. Aside from that, um, I guess his way of understanding the opponent, of scouting the opponent. Sometimes we'd have 3 hour scouting sessions and things like that.
Yeah.
Would be really good because we would understand clearly what we had to do to beat that certain opponent. So
Yeah, that's really good because I don't know, something with Coach Tab, people criticized him because I think his first stint here in the Philippines was the Gilas
yeah,
2015, and then we lost to France and New Zealand, and people were like, "Why are you getting this guy?" And then now he's successful as the Gilas coordinator, and then I don't know, he's the head of the program, and then now with Ateneo and everything. So I don't know, it's a really curious thought only that came to my mind. So
yeah.
I think with with your fourth year, it was really two straight championships, but you decided to opt out of your fifth year, and I think people already have been asking you like even before. So what was the reason and why you opted for out of your fifth year? Because if you wanted to win another ring, you would have been there again and you would have had three. But is it
Yeah.
more of like you wanted to show a different side of you? Because later when we talk about like your PBA D League, you unleash like a certain side of yourself with triple doubles and all these things. So what came into your mind on why you didn't decide to come back?
It was a combination of a lot of things. Number one, I was graduating that year, so technically I could leave and stop studying. I didn't have to study anymore. I'd be done. Another one was that I wanted to play the point guard position, and because I knew that in the PBA it would be a big advantage to be a bigger guard at that position, but I knew I wouldn't be able to play it in Ateneo because you had Matt and I think at the time
Mm-hmm.
You had Jolo, you had
Yeah,
all smaller guards that
yeah.
would take that position because you wouldn't slide them to the two.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at the same time, I felt like I needed to bet on myself in a sense that I would have to carve my own way to get into the pros because as you know, I did not play my last year.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
barely.
Yeah.
So, for me to up my draft stock, for me to have a chance to actually make it in the PBA and at least, be picked in the first or second round, I had to, make my own way. And I felt like if I had stayed, it might not have not been the same. Um, I definitely missed Ateneo because, I've been at Ateneo all my life and it was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made. But at the same time, I'm thankful it was able to serve me, in the process. Later on, it was able to serve me well.
Yeah. So with a side topic only, since you said you graduated already in that year, I'm really curious since I'm from LaSalle, but people say, of course, I applied for Ateneo, so I took the asset. But what separates an Atenean education? Like some people, because they're already going to the pros or they have a huge opportunity abroad or in another venture somewhere, they decide not to finish their studies anymore, even if there's just a few units. So for you, I think your communications major.
Yeah.
What do you think? What's the most important part that the Atenean education can give to you for your future?
I think it's just, when you have Ateneo education, you're just like if you come from LaSalle, you come from UP, the big three basically, or
Yeah,
UST. You're looked at differently in the workplace, right? If you come in with
true.
that type of education. So
Yeah,
that's number one. I think for me, the Ateneo education teaches you a lot of things, especially as a student athlete, because they don't prioritize anyone. As you could see, CJ Perez and them, they
yeah,
didn't try to save him, they didn't try
yeah,
to help him out or nothing like that. Once you
yeah.
fail, you're gone.
Mm-hmm.
You want to I think 31 year did probation, and that could be
Yeah,
your
his
option.
second year. Yeah,
Yeah, if you don't want
yeah,
to do probation, then you can't play
yeah,
basically, or you can't be at the school. So it teaches you that you have to value being a student first, which is true, because as you get older and as you go past 35, 38, 40 years old, there's no more basketball.
true.
So
Yeah.
you really only have your education to fall back on, and that's a big thing for me. I think now I'm contemplating going back to school for masters at the same time as playing basketball because it'll really be beneficial as I go forward after my career is over in basketball.
Do you plan to study again in Ateneo for masters communication?
Yeah, that's I'm thinking about it if when I'm gonna do it, but I'm definitely going to do it in
Oh,
Ateneo. Yeah,
okay. Yeah, yeah. I really, I really want to also take masters eventually because it gives you an edge, I think, an advantage
exactly. Yeah.
among others. Yeah, when they start working. Yeah.
Like even just with the pay, right? If you have a master's degree,
Yeah,
it's
I
higher.
agree. Yeah,
Your position at least is
yeah,
higher right away. So
yeah.
yeah.
Do you plan to be like a commentator or something when you retire? Like your dad's a really good commentator when he's
Yeah.
not coaching. So,
Well, I did take com, so
yeah,
I'd be open to doing that. I also want to go into advertising and journalism and things like that. I may want to write someday.
yeah, right. Yeah,
Um,
it's fun.
yeah, there's a lot of things. I don't really know at this point, but I do have a lot of things in mind that I want to do in the future.
Yeah. So going back to your basketball career, I already touched on it a bit that you joined Maharlika, you joined Mighty Sports, and you joined PBA D League, which is for me the best with how you were getting triple doubles with your best triple double against I don't know when you Hajem when you scored 20, 45 points, 12 rebounds, and 18 assists. So to summarize the three na lang, so it's just quick how did those three help your draft stock or like your ability to show a different side of you that you weren't able to show in Ateneo? Because here you had immense opportunity to really showcase your talent.
Well, in both leagues, it gave me the opportunity to play the point guard position, which I really wanted to play. I believed I was more effective with the ball in my hands, and both my coaches in both leagues, Coach Vis and Coach Mark, they gave me that opportunity. Even when I went to Zamboanga at the end of my MPBL stint, they were able to do the same for me. So really, just that playing the point guard position, understanding where I can put my teammates, getting my teammates involved, as well as in the MPBL, the physicality was crazy.
Yeah,
It was just
yeah,
every game somebody would be in your face, somebody would be
yeah,
going at you. So that helped me for the PBA because the PBA is also very physical.
yes,
That helped a lot. Aside from that, the D League helped me showcase that I could do more than one thing, and I feel like a lot of coaches look at that. A lot of PBA coaches look at that for guys who are coming into the draft because you just don't want somebody who can just score or somebody who can
yeah.
only defend. You want to have like somebody who can do all of that. So thankfully, I was able to show that in the D League, and I think that's one of the reasons why what my dad stated the reason why he drafted me.
So you already touched on it, the PBA draft. So what was your feeling on draft day? Because you're not like a Zion or a Jamorant that like, you're already top one, top two. So you're really uncertain. Will I be top 10th, 20, 30? You never know like which team also is gonna get you. There's no like a certain team that's like eyeing you publicly and then they're really gonna get you or not. So what was your mindset going into the draft? And I don't know, did your dad tell you that he was gonna draft you or how was it?
There's a backstory to that. Before the draft, early on, I was talking to my agent every day and things like that, and he was already telling me I'd go in the first round.
Yeah.
I'd probably go to rain or shine at 6, 7, or I think they had 3 picks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I broke my hand before
Oh,
the combine. I didn't play in the combine,
yeah.
which means I had no other opportunity to show what I could do aside from what I did in the D League and the NPBL. So when I got to the draft, my agent actually came up to me right before and said that Rain or Shine would pick me at 7. So I
Mm-hmm.
said, okay, nothing to worry about anymore. I'm going to Rain or Shine. So once the seventh pick was announced and it wasn't me, I started getting nervous, man. Like, you're in a suit and everything, and it's really hot inside the tunnel. So I'm sweating now.
Yeah.
Once we're done with the first round, I'm like, what's gonna happen now?
Yeah.
Like, am I gonna drop? And
Yeah.
then once it got to about the 12th or 13th pick, I said, can I just drop the Meralco? Because I had
Yeah.
practiced with Meralco for 4 months the
Yeah.
year before I went to the NPBL and things like that. I practiced with them because I had no team. So I said I knew the system. My dad was the coach. I knew the players, and thankfully, I did drop, and that was a special moment for me.
So was it wasn't sure yet that like if they draft you that you're gonna crack the lineup, right? So how was it in the first few days? Were you like trying out for a spot in the top 15 or something?
So actually, I still had a season with NPBL.
Yeah.
So I couldn't, and they were still in season. Morocco was still in season playing in the championship. So
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really practicing with them then. I went a couple times just to, see, practice, and watch. And then I signed my contract. And then after, um, when I got back from the NPBL, my last game in the NPBL, I dislocated my shoulder and I couldn't practice for a week with them. And after that, it was the pandemic, so I didn't really have a chance at all. So basically, just me and the other rookie who was with me, Mike Cañete, they just signed us
Yeah.
to the deals that we have right now.
Yeah. Luckily, they still had open roster spots because some teams they don't have
Yeah,
roster spots to sign you guys. So
yeah.
because of the you already mentioned that the pandemic happened instantly and unsurprisingly to all of us. So what did you do during the pandemic to keep your game ready? Because the bubble, they didn't say that the bubble's gonna start at this month. So you really it was I don't know it was you weren't sure when it was gonna start. So how did you keep in shape? Did your dad like help you get into shape? Tell you which aspects of I don't know your body you can improve? Because not really your game. Because I don't know, can you play in a court? So what did you do during the pandemic to make sure you're ready for the bubble?
Well, we have a court in our front yard, so that we hadn't used for like 10 years since I was a kid. So like we started using it. Honestly, I thought I was doing a lot, but I really wasn't. I realized this a couple months later. But we were just, we were at the court. We were shooting 1, 2 hours a day. Then I was getting some of my weights in. But as we got deeper into the pandemic, I started watching certain videos of NBA players, and I understood that my body wasn't where it should be. So I hired a nutritionist. I got Tim Nutrition to help me out, and it started from there. Coach Miggs, Itona Performance, he helped me out with my programs, and then Coach Diego as well. Coach Diego Lozano is actually our strength and
Yeah, yeah.
conditioning coach from
I've
Alco,
heard of him.
and he helped me out as well. So just a mix of those two guys helping me out, plus my nutritionist, and then I started to turn up the workouts. When I understood that we wouldn't be playing for a long time, I started running outside. I started biking. Thankfully, my best friend, I have three best friends, but one of them lives across the street, just like I said. All of them do, but the one who lives across the street has a court, has a whole half court with a weights room and everything. So I went over there every day, and after that, I'd get all of them to run with me, to bike with me. So I'd have people to be with at the same time, and I really just got in the best shape possible because my dad would always tell me that you could have all the skills in the world, but if you can't tell your body what to do when it's tired, then it means nothing. And he really hammered that to me the whole pandemic. Aside from helping me out with the system, helping me out with other things I could use in the PBA, it was really the conditioning that was a main part of that.
Yeah, so I really feel that it helped because it showed in the bubble. So many other players they had tough time getting into condition. Like example, even if Hinebra they won the chip, I'm pretty sure you know like in the first few games, Elite Tenorio wasn't in conditions. Who do you call this? Japet Aguilar wasn't in condition. It was
Yeah,
only like Scotty and Aljon that I don't know. That's why Coach Tim was like, "Oh, I'd put them because they were the only ones that were already in condition." Because
yeah.
there was barely any time to practice then the practice were like four at a time only or something. So I think that is a really good point that you made it an important part of your habit during the pandemic to work on your conditioning. So going into the bubble, it's really interesting because before when I'd watch a lot of Meralco games when they were against Ginebra in the finals, and Anjo Karam or Travis Jackson would be the backup PG, or maybe even Nard Pinto. But like going into the bubble, did you already know you were gonna be the backup one, or did was it surprising to you? Because the Alaska game was when you really were performing well.
Well, my dad told me that I had to earn it in practice. And we only had about 2 weeks to practice before the bubble started. Thankfully, I was playing well in practice. And some of the guys, even Baser Mer came late to the bubble for health reasons. Some of our guys, I think 5 or 6 of our guys came in late because of protocol. And yeah, I was able to play well in practice. My first game was okay. In my second game, I was able to score, I think, 8 points, have a couple rebounds and assists. So yeah, from then on, I was able to lock, not really lock, but show that I could play. And then I think it was really the Magnolia game, our fourth game. Ended up, I think, scoring 16 points or something like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, you
Uh,
won. I remember. Yeah,
yeah, and then we won in double overtime,
yeah,
and that's when I think I really locked that backup spot to Baser up. Thankfully, I was able to continue to play well, and because if I didn't, I know my dad already. I would be sitting on the bench really quick. And
yeah,
he told me that from the start of the bubble that I'll give you a chance, but once you start stinking it up, then you're out. If you start
yeah,
playing well, then I'll keep you in the game.
yeah. Do you prefer playing off the bench? Because some players like Calvin Oftana, he play in the NCAA, he was MVP, but he said also in a show that gusto ko off the bench because I can see the defensive game plan already. So do you like the role of being off the bench? Because on end game, sometimes you're there over Baser if you're playing better than him in that specific game.
Honestly, if you're used to your role, I don't think it matters if you come
Yeah.
off the bench or start. Of course, for me, coming from the D League, coming from the MPBL, it's always better to start just because you get more of a rhythm in the
Mm-hmm.
game. You just can't come straight out of warm ups, and then you start the game from 0-0. So
Yeah.
basically, you're not trying to gain a lead, or you're not trying to um, come from behind and get the lead back or things like that. You can take certain shots that you might not be able to take if you're coming off the bench. Because when you come off the bench, you have to have a spark right away. Um, so yeah, there's a little bit of a difference. For me, either one is fine. I just adjust to what's given to me. But I think anybody you ask would rather start than come off the bench, unless you're Lou
Yeah.
Williams, of
Lou
course.
Williams, Jordan
Yeah,
Clarkson now he's
yeah,
leading
Jordan
six
Clark.
well. Yeah. So I don't know because in my opinion, in the bubble, some people weren't. I don't know if they were taking you for granted because sometimes Newsome towards the end game he'd already handled the ball and then because he's your star player, quote unquote,
Yeah.
and then you had that unorthodox shot. Like people might be would it be, I don't know, they'd be surprised if you attempt. I guess because I don't know. I feel like they left you open a lot, and then you were really prepared, catch and shoot, leave me open. It's your mistake. You're going to make them pay for it. So how did you develop the confidence? Because your dad said, I think, in that San Miguel game that I don't know, there was one time you were hot and then you shot a random three and then it airballed or something and he got really pissed or something. So how was that process in developing your confidence as a shooter in the PBA?
Well, coming into when we were in the pandemic, that was a big part of what my dad and I tried to do. was develop my 3 point shot because I was so known for just my mid range game and getting to the basket and distributing the ball and things like that that I wanted to further my game. I think it was a big part of it because I think I shot 39% from the three. So it was like the whole 6 months of shooting and missing and making shots uh, ended up being a good thing for me because it ended up showing in the bubble. I think what really happened was at the start of the season, maybe the first 3, 4, 5 games, because of how I used to play before, they didn't really think I would take those threes. They didn't really think I would or maybe they thought they'd rather um worry about New or maybe Elaine Maliksi than me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, as you saw in the Ginebra series, that changed a lot in the semis because
Yeah.
I was getting hard closeouts from everywhere.
Yeah. 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 I
So that's
noticed
something I
that.
want to work on now is really
Yeah.
just a quicker shot, more bounce on my shot. But yeah, maybe it was a big part of it also that my game wasn't that way before, and I just really developed it during the pandemic.
Yeah. I heard also Duncan Robinson. He said it in a show. Like he'd get before like in October till like maybe December when he was a rook. Not really a rookie. He was already in his second year. But then he was when he was getting used already by Spolstra. He'd get all the open shots because they'd be like, oh, Dragic is gonna shoot, Jimmy's gonna shoot. But they don't know this guy's one of the best catch and shoot shooters in the NBA. But then now this year, I think you know that he's having a tough time getting those open looks.
Yeah,
So he really needs to add something to into his game also to
exactly.
become
That,
more
that's what I'm
post.
expecting next year.
Yeah,
Um, that's why I want to work on different things now. Shot fake, pull up, or getting my shot off quicker, higher, things like that. Because I already know, judging by what you just said with Duncan
yeah,
Robinson, that once the teams really know you already,
yeah,
the year after, you don't want to have a sophomore slump, and because teams are really locked in on you.
yeah. I agree. So moving on to that San Miguel series, I know that they were really they didn't have Junmar and they didn't have Terrence, but then they were still favored, I believe, because of the star power. And but
Yeah.
then I also had that gut feel that you had a chance to win because their team had no bench basically. I mean, I don't know who their bench players were, but then Coach Leo had a tough time figuring out the rotation because he wasn't used to playing these other players because in the previous conferences they wouldn't need to play because they had the Junmar and Terrence.
Yeah.
But what was your mindset going to that series? Because in game one, I think you were the best player and you made the clutch corner three, I believe, if I remember correctly. And then in game two, you blew them out of the gym. So how was the mindset of the team going into that series?
Because when you're in a bubble for 2 months, you don't want to go home in the quarterfinals.
Yeah,
You guys sacrifice so much. You have the same routine every day, and we understood that. Yeah, we were twice to beat, but at the same time, we had nothing to lose. So we came in the first series, and credit to my teammates, credit to the coaching staff. We really scouted them well. I think we had a good game plan for Mo Tautua, who was a big part
yeah,
of their offense,
yeah,
and we were able to shut that down. Thanks, not really shut it down because I think he still had a double double, but
yeah, yeah,
Raymond Almazan and Papa Ray and all those guys, they did a really good
yeah.
job on him, at least trying to limit him because it's a tough guy to limit.
Hmm.
Um, and really on the offensive end, we shared the ball. I think we had a bunch of
Yeah, I
assists.
noticed that. Yeah,
Yeah, both games we just shared the ball. We didn't care who was making the shots. As you could see from my last shot in the corner, New could have made a step back jumper, things like that, but instead he decided to kick it out to me, and that was consistent the whole. I think from our third game, oh no, sorry, from our fourth game against Magnolia all the way to the semis, that was consistent. The extra pass was always there. We tried to make that a point. Of course, there are games where we only have 12, 13 assists, but at the same time, we always try to hammer it in viewing that we have to share the ball because we're not that type of team where you give it to somebody and he can just get you 30 points.
yeah,
We have to do it
exactly.
by committee, and
Yeah,
we were able to do that in the San Miguel series.
yeah. With the formation of your team, you already said that you don't have a superstar. I mean, Newsome, like you go to him at the end game, he made a game winner against Terra Firma. But the construction of your team, there are other players that can suddenly have a 20-25 point game. Like Alain Maliksi could suddenly explode. Bong Quinto, sometimes he's also like you, like they don't want to guard him, but then he's a really talented player. So, do you believe that you went all the way to the semi? So, did the bubble environment help you as a team? Because you were also one of the really, one of the teams that were really united. So, because there you really just, I don't know, focused on ball. But then, did you really, did you really feel that that environment helped you? Like maybe how
Yeah,
it helped the Heat in the NBA?
that's actually who we were comparing ourselves to when we were in the
Miami,
bubble.
perfect. Yeah,
Man, we were we became a very close team. Excuse me,
yeah,
in the bubble because you're together 24/7, and after practices, after games, we'd be together in one of the rooms, maybe playing cards or just talking about the game. Me, New, Cliff, Travis, some other guys, we would watch tape together. You'd have the coaches every day together watching tape. So it really, the team came together, and we developed our chemistry. Because even things like having food at night, eating together, or being in the pool and just playing certain games like we're kids again and stuff like that. I think it really brought us together. Because in the bubble, you have no choice. These guys are your family. These guys are the people that you see every day, and it's either you can make the most out of it, which I think we were able to do, or you guys can just go your separate ways. And thankfully, us guys, we like each other very much, so that chemistry showed on the court.
yeah. So, sayang nga because personally, I'm a Ginebra fan. I think all my friends know that. So I really got nervous in the last game because Chris had an open three and he missed. Even Japet, when he was interviewed, he was like, when Chris attempted that open three, he thought they were done. They were going home that night because he's a good shooter. He's not like a below average shooter. Then when Scotty made that shot, I also got kind of surprised because he's not also one of the best shooters. But then when the big moments there, he steps up. So yeah, I don't know. I feel that it was really just the breaks of the game, but then the construction of your team. I think it's really already impressive. So since I alluded to the fact that I like the construction of your team, what do you think Meralco's gonna look for in the draft? Because it's coming up already in March, and I don't know. For me, maybe a big would help because Raymond is your I don't know true center, and Papa Ray, as you mentioned, he was really good in the bubble, but he's already 42. So what's your opinion on what I said?
But we actually have Noy Baclao coming in.
Oh yeah,
um
yeah,
he'll be a big help for us. I feel like the best available talent will help us. Of course, you're right. Another big center would be great, because Papare, as much as we can say everything about him, he's like the greatest teammate. He's the hardest worker. I love Papare. I love playing with him. He is 42, and you can't, Father Time is undefeated. So it'd be nice for him to, if we can get a good center, for him to help that person out, teach him some tricks that he used all throughout his career. Somebody he can take under his wing. So that would be great. I think if we can get a really good big, somebody that can help us in the paint, that would be great. But for me, anybody that can help the team, the best available talent, will do.
yeah. When Papa Ray retires, he can be an assistant coach. He can still
Definitely.
guide
Uh,
your bigs. Yeah,
Sorry, I agree.
yeah, yeah. So since you already mentioned a while ago that you plan to improve on your shot, how to make it quicker, and all these factors that come into it, are you also focusing on other specific parts of your game for the next conference? Because you mentioned that Ginebra was really closing out on you already because they already studied film on you. So are you planning to improve on what your floater or your defense or your vision, playmaking? What are other aspects?
I honestly think that I wasn't really able to show my mid-range game during the bubble like I did in Amar and NPBL, and I think I want
Yeah,
to bring that back. I've been working on it a lot. Sort of been watching a lot of CJ McCollum and Bradley Beal. They do it probably the best
yeah,
in
yeah.
the league.
Agree.
Uh,
Yeah.
so been watching a lot of those guys. We're working out with better basketball. He's been helping me out
Mm-hmm.
with those things, and it's been improving the man. It looks good, but at the same time, I know there's a lot of work still to be done. Because once you start playing against PBA defenders, it's different. Um, Aside from that, I really want to continue to work on my rebounding, because I felt like I could have done more. I didn't start the season very well rebounding. I ended up, I think 4 point something, but I think I can bump that up to about 6, 7 rebounds a game and help my bigs even more. Because just like you said, we don't have the biggest team in the
Yeah.
league. We're not like we're not like a Ginebra or San Miguel when June Mark comes back. So
Yeah.
any rebounds from the guards helps the bigs a lot because now they just have to box out. Lastly, my playmaking definitely I want to continue. I want to continue to set up my teammates, continue to see the floor, see plays before they happen, and see the defense behind my man. So I know where I would be able to get the open pass. So those three things.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So, going into the, I don't know, the next season, it's not a guarantee yet that there will be an import conference. But how much of a help do you think Alan Durham could bring to your team? Because I'm pretty sure if there's a chance to have an import again, did you play with him already before, like in
No, not
practice at least?
yet. No, not
Ah,
yet.
okay. So I don't know. I really like his game. Even if I mentioned I was a Ginebra fan, I'm really a fan of his game. He's so chill, and then he's so intense, and he's passionate. And your teammates, sila Chris Newsome, they really blend well with his playing style. So if there's an import conference next year, how much of a help do you think he could bring?
Big help, like 30 and 20 help for us.
Yeah,
I'd love to play with AD because I love to run the floor. I like to
yeah,
push the pace. The guy that will run every time. So either running with him when he has the ball or him running with me when I have the ball. I would definitely enjoy that. Aside from that, he helps us so much on both ends. He locks up the paint on the defensive end. At the same time, offensive end, he gets so many offensive rebounds that us shooters we're not really shy to shoot. I think
exactly. Yeah,
I'd shoot even more with him
yeah.
in the game. And just like you said, judging from what I see from the outside, because I haven't played with him,
Mm-hmm.
and at the same time talking to my teammates about him, he's a really good teammate. He's a guy you want to be around off the court and on the court, and that's big when it comes to imports because you could be the best import in the world, but if your teammates don't like you, it won't really
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah, there's been a lot of instances of
Yeah,
imports that
exactly.
have been here for only a couple of games. They score
Yeah,
40, but they fight the coach. They don't agree with the star
yeah,
player. A lot of
exactly.
turmoil in the locker room. So moving on to the final part of the podcast, I just wanted to ask. I know maybe I know I'm not assuming, but then maybe you have a strong opinion or you have a great insights about this next question I wanted to ask. So, in the NBA, you've been mentioning already that you watch the NBA a lot with CJ, Bradley Beal, and all these players. So, you saw in the bubble that they were very active with the social issues with their country, with the Black Lives Matter, LeBron with his more than a vote initiatives. So here in the Philippines, in my opinion, the athletes they don't know yet how much of following they have that they can influence certain communities on I don't not really like who to vote for the 2022 elections, but more of amplifying their voices in a way that the public will learn more about these issues because maybe you see the people tweet random stuff online because they're not as knowledgeable, but then the athletes amplify their voices and teach the public with their huge following on these certain issues, it might help. You never know. So I wanted to ask, what's your opinion on being an activist or being socially active with social issues here on the Philippines locally?
Well, for me, I think a lot of athletes don't really talk about it or tweet about it because they're scared. People might just say, "This is not your field.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?" But at the same time, we are, PBA players are people who, you know, maybe most or 80% of the country look up to because
Mm-hmm.
basketball is such a
Yeah.
big thing here in the
Yeah.
Philippines. And yeah, I agree. I feel like you can't tell somebody who to vote for, but you
Mm-hmm.
can educate them on who they
Yeah.
can vote
Yeah.
or to just vote or register to vote because um, when it comes to basketball, you're opened up to a lot of things because you're on social media a lot. You're with the media after games, so you're very exposed to certain things that other people might not be. So I think for me, if you check my Twitter, I do talk about it every now and then.
Yeah. I see.
I'm
Yeah.
knowledgeable on the
Yeah.
situation, but I feel like athletes should use their following. Athletes, artistas, everybody that has a big following, they should use
Yeah.
their um their following or their knowledge to help the people who do follow them understand more about what they're trying to get through, the message they're trying to get through. Because the elections are coming up in 2022, and pretty sure a lot of people haven't registered yet. and we only
Mm-hmm.
have maybe 6, 7 more months to register. And if you're an athlete, maybe you can try to get these people to register and to
Yeah,
vote for
exactly.
who
Yeah,
will help our country.
yeah. Because I don't know, athletes. I mean, the NBA players specifically, because that's what I'm very familiar with. I think most of their players. I think Chris Paul was the one who said that most of them didn't even vote before. Like they had no clue and who these candidates are, what their platform is, or whatever. But then with LeBron, CP3, and all these athletes, and they were able to educate these NBA players and then make these NBA players educate like their millions and thousands of following. So, it could bring a change to the country. Like now, the inauguration of the presidency was last night here in Manila. It really helped them. Now they're all happy and hoping that the optimistic of the possible results of the country.
Yeah,
So now, I don't know. I just kind of that thought always slips in my mind because I don't know, here in the Philippines, we're the social, I don't know, media capital of the world, and everyone
yeah,
tweets random stuff,
yeah.
especially you. Like, I'm pretty sure, as an athlete, when you
I see.
airball a three, someone's gonna tweet to
Yeah,
you and say that, I don't know, you're trash or something. So, yeah.
yeah. Actually,
Yeah.
honestly, just this past when I won the Rookie of the Year, I got a lot of weird tweets about people, probably Ginebra fans, and respect to art. He did
Yeah.
play really well during the bubble, but
Yeah.
I mean, there's just a lot of things going on. Hopefully, as athletes, we can use that platform in a positive way to just like you said, spread awareness on certain issues that we want to, our followers to understand more about.
Yeah, I'm just curious also, since you mentioned it already, what's your way of interacting with fans? Since, yeah, you said Ginebra fans, you believe, are Ginebra fans bashed you for winning the rookie award. What's your method? Do you like read them? Do you just never look at them? What how do you do it?
Well, sometimes I read them, sometimes I don't. It depends. Sometimes I just get tagged. Like let's say
Yeah.
the other day I got tagged in a good tweet, like a good comment on Instagram where the guy said, "Oh, great job, rookie of the year." And then I started looking down, and the other people were, I guess, Ginebra fans talking about how Arvin should have won. For me, everybody's entitled to their own opinion as long as they're not over here talking bad about my family, my girlfriend, or my closest friends. There's a saying, right? If you have haters, then you've made it,
Yeah,
and
yeah, I
that's
know that. Yeah.
I take with me because everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and who am I to say that uh your pick is wrong or my pick is better than yours? If that's your opinion, as long as you don't you know do something to harm my family or in any way possible, then it's up to you. It's fine with me.
Yeah. For one more question, people always say that you're just the son of Norman Black because people know he's a legendary player and coach. How is it? How do you keep living? Like, how do you have a unique, personality and way? Like, you don't want to you don't want to be the son of Norman Black. You want to be Aaron Black. So how, as a person, what mindset do you have to yourself in order to not live under his shadow but have an own path to success? How do you, especially now, you're rookie of the year, so people are gonna say many things about it.
Well, for me, I understand that you know the comparison with me and my dad and being in a shadow and things like that, that won't go away
Mm-hmm.
anytime. I don't think it'll go away. For me, it's just something I have to live with, something that I actually take advantage of because he's my dad, he's my coach, and I try to pick his brain as much as I can. And people may think that that may be awkward or things like that, but to us, we're very close, so it doesn't really matter to me. In terms of making my own mark, and I feel like this is a start, winning the Rookie of the Year, because now people
Exactly.
know me as me, not really my father's son. But at the same time, just like I said, I don't think it's going away anytime soon. I don't think Ray Ray. I know Ray Ray gets compared to his father all the time, and
All the
he's
time. Yeah.
a top 5 player in the league
Yeah.
already. So it's not gonna go away. I just have to keep working hard to establish my own name. That's all.
Yeah. For these are like for fun questions only, the final ones. So I don't know if you watch All the Smoke podcast with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, but then
Sometimes I do.
towards the end they always ask their guests, which I'd want to ask you also. Who would 5 people, dead or alive, that you would have for a dinner, like formal dinner with wine and fine dining, like whether athletes or artistas or I don't know who you want.
Okay, Kobe would be
Yeah.
number one on that list. I actually had a conversation with Kobe when he was over here. and I'd
Mm-hmm.
like to continue that conversation. um, that's number one. Will Smith,
Mm-hmm.
number two. Barack Obama would be number three.
Yeah.
Uh, my great, no, my grandfather, my dad's dad. He's not with us anymore. I'd love to know more about him, uh, and how my dad was when he was younger, things like that, from his perspective. Because he was always at my dad's games, growing up. And fifth, this is tough. Uh, Fifth person that are alive. No, I have to say LeBron.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah.
I'm a big, I'm a big LeBron fan. So I'd have to definitely LeBron and Kobe. I didn't really reach because I was born in '96. So I watched a little bit of Jordan, but not really,
Me
not the
also.
show most time.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
I can't really say Jordan because
Yeah.
it wasn't really my time. So it was really Kobe and LeBron for me.
Exactly. That's also my time. I mean, I never, maybe when I was a small baby, it was Jordan with the Wizards, but I didn't really care about basketball
Yeah,
that time yet. How about your best memory as an Atenean, but not as a not basketball related or UAP related?
memory as at the end. Oh, uh, this is gonna be cheesy, but I guess meeting my girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
It would be the best memory as a teen. Funny thing, when my girlfriend and I got together, um, I don't know. I guess I just worked on myself even more. Ended up making a dean's list the whole year. She ended up making a dean's list the whole year. We just made each other
Better.
better,
Yeah.
and I felt like that was a big turning point because when I did have that point where in my senior year I wasn't playing and I was having anxiety and I was really down. She helped me a lot along with my closest friends and my family. So yeah, that would probably be one of or the best moment in college.
Yeah, that's so sweet because I don't know, not everyone really has the opportunity to meet them in college. So for you, at least you had the opportunity to meet her and she's motivating you to be a better person, maybe until now in your PBA. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
So for the final question, it's also from All the Smoke. I'm pretty sure you know it. Who would you want to suggest or who would you want to recommend in order for me to guest? Because I've only done 4 episodes and maybe you can give me suggestions whether not really basketball. I mean, all the 4 episodes I've had are basketball related so far, but I'm also open to having guests that aren't as popular, that sports that aren't as popular here in the Philippines, but they deserve the recognition because of the success they've had in the sporting world. So, who are some people that you could suggest or recommend?
Well, I actually did a podcast with, if you know Jamie Lim. She's a
Yeah, yeah,
karate.
yeah,
I think she's supposed to go to
yeah.
Olympic
Samboy
qualifiers.
Lim's daughter.
Yeah, Samboy
Yeah,
Lim's daughter, because
yeah.
Tito Samboy and my dad were so close, because they were
Oh, okay.
teammates and things like that. So I'd say her, maybe her, because she won a gold medal, I think, in the Sea
Yeah, yeah.
Games,
I saw.
and
Yeah.
they might be in the Olympics. You never know. So that's one. Another one would be you know what do you call this? I actually have three. So Diego Dario, this guy is one of those guys also you can interview about tough times because he's gone through so much,
Okay,
from being a
that's good.
star in high school to
Yeah,
somebody who he was a really good player his first 2 years in UAP, and the same thing happened to him, to him as well. That when he got to the latter part of his career, it started
yeah,
getting less and less and
yeah.
less, and then he made the PBA. Now he's in the PBA,
It's a
so
good
that's one.
story. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Another one, hmm, another guy you can interview. Chris Newsom has a lot of knowledge, I'd say, um, for I think for your
Life
viewers, especially,
for life.
just
Yeah,
just of how he came up
yeah.
basketball wise. I feel like he'd be a good interview for sure.
Yeah. I listen to
Yeah,
Chris, like he's really, I don't know, articulate and he has so much to share. He doesn't like limit his answers to short
exactly.
ones and he really
He
expounds on it.
definitely be a good interview
Yeah.
for
I'll
sure.
try
He
to
all kinds of things too.
yeah, I think he'd also relate with the Black Lives Matter and all the
Yeah,
social
definitely.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has some inputs on it as well. So I think that's it for our interview. So thank you so much again, Aaron Black, for
Thanks for having me.
accepting the invitation and thank you so much also for sharing so many of your stories on how you have been a successful PBA player now. And personally, I hope it lasts for a long, like 10-year career, 15-year career. Hopefully, I still see you playing. And I don't know. I hope to talk to you soon also. And I'm gonna continue supporting you playing for Meralco. Do you have a final message before we go?
Well, I just want to continue to thank the PBA fans for supporting us. You know, it's been a tough year without them in the arena. I really hope we go back to that soon. Maybe with the vaccines, we're able to go back to Araneta and Moa and see you guys there. For the Meralco fans as well, thank you for supporting us. Thank you for supporting me. I got so much love after I won the award. Um, and I just want to give a shout out to them. Also to everybody, elections are coming up. Let's vote. Let's vote for the right people. I'm sure let's educate ourselves on who those right people are. And yeah, let's register and vote. That's a big thing. Even if you say it's only one vote, if you know you get all your friends to vote, that's 20 votes right there. So
Exactly.
let's
Yeah.
try to spread it, and hopefully we can change our country for the better.
Yeah. Last, can you take a picture before you go lang? I'll take a
Yeah,
screenshot. Sure.
yeah.
Okay. One, two, three. Okay. Thank you so much again, Aaron, and
Man,
hope to
thanks for
talk to you
having me, bro.
soon. Okay.
Yeah, talk to you, bro.
Bye.
Appreciate it. Bye.